Okay, this video is a quick demo on how to prepare and submit your process portfolio. The video and description about what it is and how it works and why and all that is separate from this. This video here is strictly about the mechanics of putting it together. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and we're going to look at the desktop of my computer. And I'm going to make this window bigger so that it is easier for you to see, I hope. So here we have three portfolios from prior students. I'm going to look at them briefly and talk about them. Now, before you get ready to compress and submit your portfolio to the Canvas site, the first thing is, and this might be obvious, but it needs to be restated clearly, during the inquiry itself, you have got to have made lots of documentation, visual documentation, and then you will review the visual documentation, sort it, rename it, compress it, and submit it. So here's an example. This is looking at the desktop of my laptop computer. This is an inquiry called Cardboard City, which we will do this semester later in the semester. And if I just double click on it, and let me make these a little bigger so they're easier to see, you'll see that these are the thumbnails that this student has created of their process. And they have JPEGs that show different aspects of weaving with cardboard in this particular case, but then also, and I think really cool, and it's important to keep in mind, is that everybody documents things differently. So in this student really enjoyed making voice memos.
So to experiment with the grid that we were handed to use for using the box cutter.
And actually, I'm hoping that that you can hear that. Here's another one here.
Something that really resonated with me is when I saw the glue, the used and ripped off glue of the recycled cardboard. I remember you saying it was a magic material, very versatile, and its the possibilities of what students and anyone using it can do.
And here's one more.
I love that when we came together as a group, one of the first things we thought of to make our community, our group of structures, cohesive was to make ladders to connect the suburb area. I think that is so symbolic of
Okay, so hopefully you get an idea here what we're looking at. So this student has created the documentation during the process and then has sorted through the documentation, giving everything a name and ordering it so that when I look at it, it'll go from the beginning to the end. And included with that, they've also done documentation in voice memos. Now, they could have done all kinds of other documentation. They could have done images of their notebooks or scans or pictures of the lectures or handouts. I don't think there are any handouts really, but if there were handouts, they have done a bunch of pictures of the cardboard structures that were made, including this movie of the cardboard structures. Here's a problem. This one here is too small. This image is like super small. I can barely see it on my computer right now. And so that's one thing that they need to be careful of, and that y'all need to be careful of as well, is that the documentation that you submit for the grade is actually visible and it works and it's right side up and the pictures are well made. Okay, so now the folder is ready to go, and now what needs to be done is the folder needs to be compressed into a zip file. And the way you do this is a little different on Windows versus Mac machines, but essentially it's the same thing. You're basically compressing the images into a singular file, not a folder, but a singular file. On the Mac, which is what I'm working on here, if I double click on the folder, it comes down to, I can pull down in this context menu to compress Cardboard City. And if I just click on compress, then it creates the zip file. Now this zip file is what I'm going to submit in Canvas. But I did something wrong here, and I want you to recognize that if you make this mistake, it'll count against your grade. So when I receive the zip file, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the zip file and get the folder out of it. So watch what happens. Double clicking to it opened up as Cardboard City, um, just as this one does, but there is no name on the Cardboard City. Your last name is not on the Cardboard City folder. I think if I um, go out of full screen view, it won't bounce back and forth. It might be easier for you to see. So now watch what happens here. Let's say that you recognize that you forgot to name the zip folder with your last name. If you just go in and type in your last name, I'm going to use my last name. If you just type in your last name, you might think, well, I'm good to go. That's all I needed to do. But watch what happens. I'm going to open it up again and notice that I got another copy, Cardboard City. My last name, here it is clearly, the zip file has been named with my last name, but my last name did not survive the decompression the decompression process. Okay, I'm going to throw these away and show you the way that you need to do this so that your zip file carries your last name. So here's the Cardboard City folder, and inside are all the JPEGs and the sound recordings and the movies. I have to name this folder before I compress it with my last name. Now that my name is on the folder, now when I compress it, the zip file carries my name along, and most importantly, when I decompress it after you upload it to Canvas and then I download it on my side and double click on it to open the zip file, watch what happens. You see, my name survived the decompression process. Okay, so that's super important. Collect all your documentation into a folder, name the folder, compress the folder, and then you send it, you submit it. Now, before I go over to Canvas and do that submission process to show you how that works, the next thing I'm going to do is go to the reflection. Now, this is our reading response folder, and this, you can think of this as a template, if you will. This file right here will serve for the purposes of this demo, this file here will serve as our test case, as our example. Now, you write your work reflection. Don't forget to stay within the word limit, and also don't forget to add the AI attribution statement. You write your learning reflection, and same. And then you have to make sure that the share settings are set so that I can view it. And that is, you saw me click on share. Anyone with the link is an editor. If you restrict this for some reason, if it says restricted, then I cannot view it. And if you go to anyone with the link and set it as viewer and leave it as viewer, then I cannot leave comments or I cannot make any edits. So you have two choices here. Anyone with the link as commenter, that's okay. I can deal with that. Or anyone with the link as editor. And that's a little easier for me, but either way. And then once that is set, once you have written your reflection and you have set the permissions, then you copy the link and hit done. Now remember that the link is now copied in your memory of your computer. Okay, so now we are ready to submit the assignment. So I'm going to bounce over to Canvas and I'm going to go to the assignment, and I'm in student view mode now. So this should look very similar to what you are going to see, except it won't have the pink outline. This is the first inquiry of the current semester, and I'm going to hit attempt. Notice up here, now some of you in prior classes, you may have encountered this type of submission portal already, so this is nothing new perhaps, but maybe not true for everybody in the class this semester. You have three options of the kinds of materials that can be submitted for these inquiry assignments. You will submit the reflection as a link. Now remember, the link is copied on the desktop here. When I hit copy, the link is copied. So I'm going to paste it in there. This is the link to my reflection. You can leave a comment here. You don't have to leave a comment, but if it helps you keep track of things, and then you hit submit assignment. Now, the next thing that happens, the confetti is nice. It tells you that the submission has been done properly, but you'll notice that it has closed the window apparently. So in order for you to submit the zip file, you have to go to new attempt, and now file upload. You'll choose the file, navigate on your computer to where that properly named zip file is, and then hit open, and then submit again. Now the submission, if your file is somewhat large and if your internet is a little bit slow, as mine is here at my home studio, you'll see that this progress window is taking quite a bit of time to load. You'll have to make sure that you leave enough time to upload your file before the deadline, before the portal closes. Now for this demonstration, I'm going to go ahead and cancel that because that doesn't need to be, we don't need to sit here and wait on the video. Okay, now I'm going to go back to my desktop, and I'm going to briefly click on this one here. This is a inquiry called the interface by that same student, and you'll notice again that they really enjoy making audio files. But the reason why I wanted to show you this portfolio is because in this one, they included reflections from their notebook.
All right.
And over here, even a sketch in their notebook. So that's another type or another way of documenting, which I would love to see in your portfolios, in your process portfolios. In this motion picture portfolio, you'll notice that the student labeled the final of what they had made, and it's a movie, but they labeled it very clearly final. And the image, they took great care to stabilize the image and to make sure the lighting was even. So whatever it is that is the outcome of the inquiry, I would like you to label that image separately as a final. All right, well, I hope that helps, and happy processing.